Welcome back, scholars. Today is Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. This is ELA Mini Lesson number 27. Today, the nonfiction text structure we will be studying is the order or sequence of events. Your learning target is, I can study the structure of a nonfiction text. And today, we'll be studying the structure of order or sequence of events and looking for signal words that help us understand how events happen in a text. A lot of things you do on a day-to-day basis, you do in a certain order. For example, here is part of my morning routine. After I've gotten out of bed, the first thing I do is brush my teeth. Next, I wash my face. Then I style my hair. And last, I put on sunscreen. I do these events in a certain order or sequence, and if I were to do them out of order, it might not make much sense. For example, if I put on sunscreen before I washed my face, then I would wash the sunscreen off. Similarly, if I washed my face before I brushed my teeth, I could get toothpaste on my face that then I would need to wash off again. Certain nonfiction texts also follow a sequence or order of events. When a nonfiction writer wants to explain how something happens, they record the information following a sequence of events. When you read, look for the order in which things happen. Events are the actions or things that happen. The sequence is the order in which events happen. Oftentimes, author will use signal words to give clues about the sequence of events. Some examples include first, second, next, then, now, later, after, last, and finally. You can think of a sequence as the rungs on a ladder. You have to start at the bottom in order to get to the top. Certain events need to follow an order and go in specific steps. So remember, when you're reading this nonfiction text structure, look for those signal words and ask yourself, when you get to an event, is this event taking place over time? And you can look for steps or references to time, such as dates. I have a nonfiction text that we're going to study. I'm going to read this and try to understand the events and the order that they happened. This is the true story of Rosa Parks, and these events most certainly happened in a specific order. Sometimes there will be signal words, but not always. So I have to think about how the events are happening and the order that they're happening. After I read the text, I'm going to look back and mark it up to show I can understand the events in the order that they happen. Because Rosa said no. In 1955, some laws were unfair. One law was about people on buses. It said a black person had to give up a seat to a white person. One day, a white person asked Rosa Parks for her seat on the bus. She was a black person, but she said no. In this first paragraph, I do see this phrase, one day. It's telling us when this event is happening, but it's not exactly telling us the order of events just yet. It's setting us up to understand what happened on that one day. First, the bus driver told Rosa to move. She stayed in her seat. Next, a police officer came and took Rosa to jail. Black people in Rosa City wanted the right to choose any seat on the buses, so they stopped riding them. The buses lost many riders, so they stopped riding them. First, the bus driver told Rosa to move. She stayed in her seat. Next, a police officer came and took Rosa to jail. Black people in Rosa City wanted the right to choose any seat on the buses, so they stopped riding them. The buses lost many riders. Finally, the law was changed. This change started when Rosa said no. So if I want to understand how the events in the Montgomery bus boycott started, I need to think about what happened first. Well, on this day, when Rosa decided to stand up for herself, the first thing that happened was The bus driver told Rosa to move. I circled that signal word and I recorded a number 1 next to it because this was the first event. She stayed in her seat. Next, here we have another signal word. This is the second event. Next, a police officer came and took Rosa to jail. Black people in Rosa City wanted the right to choose any seat on the buses, so they stopped riding them. Well, this doesn't have a signal word, but it makes sense that this is the next event that happened. After Rosa was arrested, this upset many people, and they decided they were going to boycott the buses. This is the third event. People stopped riding the buses. The buses lost many riders. And finally, here we have our fourth event. Finally, the law was changed. This change started when Rosa said no. By studying the text and the order of events in which they happen, I can better understand what happened on this day. Nonfiction writers often want you to understand that certain things either happened in a specific order or have to happen in a specific order. When you take the time to look for signal words and think about how things happened in the order that they happened, you can better understand the important details in the text. Now you're going to get a chance to try out this strategy, marking up the text. Make sure you're on Wednesday's part of the packet. Go ahead and turn to the article. The nonfiction article we will be reading today is called From Tree to Treat. After you listen to the text, you're going to mark up the second paragraph to identify the order of events. From tree to treat. Chocolate treats begin with small, hard beans. These beans grow on cacao trees. Once these trees grew only in the rainforest. Now they grow on large farms in hot, wet places. What happens on a farm? First, pods grow on the trees. Farm workers pick them and take out the beans. Next, they spread the beans out to dry. At last, the beans are put in bags. Where do they go? The beans travel to candy factories around the world. Factories turn those beans into special foods. The beans are used in chocolate candy bars, cakes, and ice cream. The beans become many treats we all enjoy. All right, so now your job for marking up the text. Identify the events that happen on a farm. You can circle signal words if you see them, but remember, there aren't always going to be signal words to circle. You are going to circle or to identify 4 events that happen in the farm. Circle the signal words if you see them, and make sure you're marking the events in order from 1 to 4. After you complete this activity, practice writing your own nonfiction text about what happens on a usual day at school. Or in this case, you can write about what happens at your usual day of distance learning. Start by planning out your events, recording 1 or 2 ideas in each box. What happens first, next, after that, and last. Then you're going to take your ideas and put them into complete sentences. Try to include at least 2 signal words in your sentence, and also try to see if you can write one sentence that doesn't have any signal or clue words. After you finish that assignment, you'll have some additional practice with this article called The New Book. You're also going to practice marking up this text. Draw boxes around the signal words, underline the important steps, and number the steps for exploring a book in paragraph 2. After you've completed marking up this text, answer each question using details from the article. And finally, your last ELA assignment for today is your reading log. Read a fictional story and describe the problem and solution. Don't forget to complete your reflection for today. Join me back again tomorrow where we practice, studying the nonfiction text structure of sequence again.